Good morning, evening, or afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the One Up Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Milos Bukareta. With me is my co-host, George Martinez. And with us today, we have the wonderful makeup artist, not actress, my bad. Also actress sometimes, right? Maybe.
No, absolutely
Never
not.
an actress. Makayla Anderson. How are you doing, Michaela? What's
I'm
up?
good. How are y'all?
Wonderful, man. It's been a great week for me. But yeah, it's a little hot in here as always. Damn, Manuel, you should have turned on the AC. I hate you. Anyways, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Just how do you introduce yourself to people when you're in the film world? You're like, hi, I'm Michaela. I do makeup, or like, do you do something else?
I usually almost immediately. Usually, like people are like, "Okay, how'd you get started? How'd you do that?" Da, da, da. So I generally just tell everybody like, I got into the industry by accident. It was completely unintentional, not planned at all. So when I was in high school, I took cosmetology, and I also took a film class, and my film instructor's like, well, Michaela's in cosmetology, so she knows everything about hair and makeup, and announced it to all of his classes. Hair and makeup, she does it all. I'm like, after class, I'm like, I don't do any of it. I do hair. I don't know a shit about makeup. And so he's like, well, better start learning because they're asking already. I'm like, oh my God. So I just like started getting books and like watching videos and researching it. I was like, all right, cool. I kind of know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So like the first couple years, I just kind of was winging it. I was like, I don't know. We're going to make this shit up and go. But so then like my senior year in high school, I started in the industry. My instructor's like, hey, I got these directors. They're making all these things, whatever. They need a makeup artist for this deal. I'm like, all right, cool. So started working and have been doing it ever since. So everything from special effects went to, ended up going back to makeup school, ended up like the year after I graduated makeup school, I was an instructor for a while at the school, so. Yeah, and then COVID happened. Got back in the film industry, and then COVID happened. So.
Was it makeup school for makeup for film, or just?
All of the above. So they taught everything from like period makeup, special effects, stage, all of it. So runway, all of it.
What was the place called? If you don't mind just plugging it.
It's called Tint School of Makeup and Cosmetology. It's over in Irving.
That's cool. Sounds like you had a good time there. That's awesome. Sounds like they did wonders for you. That is awesome. So yeah, so you say you do like regular special effects makeup and everything. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
A little bit of all of it.
What's like the wildest thing you had to do? Like the wildest type of makeup you had to do?
So I think it was maybe about 3 years ago. I worked on the set for The Penitent Thief. And I had to do whiplashes on 3 different people. They were like, all right, you have 3 hours. You have 1 hour per person plus 60 background extras. And you only have this one assistant that we were allowed to let you bring on. I'm like, fuck, okay. So
God.
So we had 3 hours to do 3 main pieces and then another hour to do 60 other people's makeup. And it was a lot of work, but it turned out really, really cool. So
Holy crap.
On some of these projects, did they give you time to prepare to know what you're going to do, or do you just find out the day of?
It depends. So for that specific project, I had time. I had like 3 months, so 1 month to prep, and then within 3 months we shot the thing. So it was all that time I had to prepare. But other times they're like, oh, this is what we want. And then you get on set and it's like, actually, we're going to change everything.
Oh,
we're not going to
God.
do anything we said. We're not, like, this was the game plan. Throw it away. Burn it. Like, so it depends. But most of the time we usually have time to get things ready and plan and figure out what we're doing.
Have you had a favorite genre you like to work in?
I've done a little bit of all of it. I've done, like, Christian films. I don't know. I don't think I really have a favorite though. I like the variation. I like to do a little bit of everything, dip your toes in a little bit of all of it. So, yeah, I don't really have a favorite genre. I'm kind of boring. It's cool.
Well, I saw like a while back you were doing, I guess they also had you do a little bit of the props. You were taking like eyelashes to make dead mosquitoes. I remember seeing that post a while back.
Dead mosquitoes. I don't remember that.
What?
Do you remember? Do you have the post to pull up and show?
I don't have the post to pull up. I remember it was like a weird request, and you figured out how to do it with just breaking apart eyelashes. and making it look like there was a ton of dead little mosquitoes.
I mean, was that her? Well,
that might not have been me.
No.
I don't know. Whoever it was.
Clue. That's genius, though. Whoever
Take
thought
credit.
of that.
Just take credit. Say you did it.
I did it all, everything.
Mosquitoes,
all of it.
yes.
Mosquitoes, I did it. Made spiders and mosquitoes out of eyelashes.
That's amazing. So, what would you say is like the difference between like, just doing makeup? Like, I mean, actually, have you done? You said you have done like makeup professionally outside of film, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, what's the difference between like doing it on film versus like doing it for like
photography or weddings or something like that?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Well, it's really like the type of people you're working with. So brides, like obviously you're dealing with their nerves, or like the bridesmaids, they're all drunk, so there's always
Cheers.
drama with that. There's always drama with that. But like in photography, the models, they'll just sit there, do whatever you got to do. They will not talk to you. Like completely different kind of human being. They'll just do their thing, whatever they're doing. Like you don't exist. They're in their world. You're in your world. And then in film, like you get all of the different types of interesting people, so to speak. Like, I mean, you guys have worked on film sets, you meet some weird ass people on set. It's like, I don't know if I'm enjoying this interaction or not, but it's weird. So I don't know. So it's different in everything though.
I guess from that, would I be able to take that film's probably your favorite one of those for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, speaking of weird people, yeah, the one person we had on here on our project we actually worked together with for 3 Aprils in March, I think it was called. Mm-hmm. We had Jorg on here.
Oh, yeah,
and oh my God, he is a character. Holy crap, what a character.
I saw that y'all had him on. I was like, oh shit, I bet that's a good episode.
Oh, it was nuts. Have you ever done his makeup? Because I know sometimes he does makeup.
I have not done his makeup, but let's see, last 2020, we worked on Low Key together, and every day he's like, all right, I need my hair done. I need my hair. And he'd just like, so I was...
What a fucking diva.
So I'm like, all right, cool. One day he had pigtails. One day he had a top bun. Like, he had different hair every day. So French braid.
That's funny. That reminds me of the story, like, Judd Apatow, was talking about he had to go to an event or something, but he never shaved his chest, and he had, just a little bit of hairs popping out his shirt. And he asked the makeup artist if she would trim it. and she was like, she was not up for it. She did not like it.
Not my department, man. Man, I had once that I worked on, I had this actor. He would not let anybody other than me touch him the whole set. Like, he was a diva. Like,
oh my God.
With me, it was great. Everything was cool. Like, I had a come to Jesus meeting with him. All right, cool. We got past this. Now let me do my job. You do your job. All right. So, because this is The Penitent Thief. We shot in Arkansas, Texas, LA. So whenever we came down here, he's like, hey, my flight was running late. Take these clippers and cut my hair. I'm like, technically, I can do this because legally I'm licensed. But what? I'm like, what? I'm like, bro, you are a professional actor. You work in Hollywood for a living. I am not cutting your hair. I don't know any makeup artist who... Well, I ended up cutting his hair, but... long story short, I ended up cutting his hair, but I was like, seriously? He's like, I won't let anybody else. Nobody else. Okay, all right, cool. Well, here we are.
I mean, that's good to trust you. Yeah, that's good.
I'm like, yeah, that's cool that he trusts me, but it's like, oh, man, come on. That's one less thing, or one more thing I need to do.
Well, I mean, at least, in that scenario, it wasn't his chest hair, so I guess
Yeah. Man, I bet this guy, I don't know, he was a character. He was crazy. He wanted someone to be in the shower with him to scrub his back. We're all like, hell no.
What?
No.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, you said diva. I wasn't fucking...
Yeah.
What?
He's like, I can't reach the small of my back. Someone come in here and get the washcloth and rub it. No, man, we're not doing that. This is not what we do.
I wonder if he's just trying to see how far you can push people.
Honestly, I think so. And, someone almost did it. I was like, do not do this. This is not okay. This is not it. No.
Just get him one of those fucking brush things.
Right?
He should be fine.
It's like, go run to town real quick. It's cool.
Well, I guess maybe they weren't as fortunate as us who literally have a Walmart like down the street.
Yeah.
Has there been a podcast where we have not made a Walmart run before the fucking podcast? I gotta say, being like a DIY filmmaker and stuff, Walmart's a lifesaver. Just go in there, buy anything, just super quick, and they have everything.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you ever had to deal with that, like last minute having because plans change last minute, having to go and just grab extra stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. Like, you go through and you're like, oh shit, I didn't get enough wipes or whatever, like makeup wipes or this, that, or the other. So you got to make like your emergency run. One time, actually, so my assistant and I were on our way down to Llano because we were shooting a film out there. And they call us on our way in. They're like, hey, you're responsible for getting umbrellas for the cast. I'm like, that's not my department, man. Like, not my department. They're like, well, someone needs to, and we don't have anybody else that can. So I like ran and got like all these umbrellas and ponchos and shit. And I'm like, all right, here you go. So it's like, I mean, yeah, in a way it is. I don't know. It's just like, you never know what you might need.
Were those
like
used
sewing kits and all these things that you might need.
Were the umbrellas used for the scene, or was it just like
just to transport?
I was gonna say, then at that point you just put in like it's your stuff as a costume designer for that movie. There you go. You have to credit me.
Actually, I was for that set. My assistant and I, we did makeup and costume and wardrobe. Yeah. So I mean, technically, yeah, kind of. I guess it was our job, but it was a last minute job that was thrown on us. They're like, "Hey, our wardrobe lady pulled out on us last minute. She had a car accident." We're like, "Oh shit, my bad. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that sucks." They're like, "Here, you got another job." So.
You got some?
I was still looking up here.
Oh, never mind.
Sorry.
I was like, he looks like he's about to say something. He's like, I was like, what are you? So how easy would it be for somebody to go into this field of doing makeup for movies and stuff like that? How easy or hard is it to break into it?
It's pretty difficult. Not even gonna lie about it. It's pretty difficult getting in. It's all about who you know, though. Mm-hmm. Like, if you know someone that has a good name or is connected to the right person, obviously, like any industry, if you know the right people, then you're set. Mm-hmm. But like, one thing that makes it more difficult is like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and all this. Like, everybody thinks they're a makeup artist, so they're like, oh yeah, so there's like 5,000 people out here in like 100, like, I don't know, just like a small like 1 block area, and they're like, oh yeah, like there's like 1,000 makeup artists in just like 1 block, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of us out there, but how many of us are actually makeup artists, I guess, is the real question. But getting in the industry, it took me a long time. So, like, I mean, I got my start when I was 18. I was still in high school. So that's kind of unheard of in a lot of situations. So I was really fortunate in that sense, but like it took a long time to like build up clientele, like meet all these new people, because every time, like the first 3 years I'd go to set, it was like, all right, like I know one person on set, but everybody else was all new. So it's like, all right, we got to put our best foot forward. We got to make a good name for ourselves. But it's a lot of hard work to be able to get anywhere, especially in like DFW area, for sure.
So would you say if somebody's looking for a makeup artist, like try and get references or maybe like their background?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Look at their portfolio, look at like a big thing to look for is, are they only making or doing makeup on themselves? Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, is it just photos of them all over their Instagram, or is it like people with different ethnicities and different skin types and stuff like that when you're trying to hire someone? One thing I always tell people too is like, ask them questions. Ask them, for example, like if they have experience with your skin type, ask them like, what's your game plan? This is the look I want. What's your game plan? And just kind of see what they have to say. If they sound like they know what they're talking about, they might actually know what they're talking about. And then also like their resume is a big thing. Like, have you done, like, did you go to school for it? You don't necessarily have to, but it's a good thing as far as like cleanliness. And then, like, once you're in the chair, like, look at their brushes. Are their brushes disgusting? Like, do they look like they've been used on 17 other people before you? At that point, it's like, all right, this is a judgment call, but...
It's because I've had the experience where I just relied on the producer to, like, provide the makeup artist. Mm-hmm. And the first one he got, she was great. She did the makeup real quick, and she even did, like, it was just doing like bruising makeup for a boxer, right?
Yeah.
So it's all the bruises. They looked really good, and then she had to like tone it down to make it seem like it's healing. Because we had to shoot the different days on one day, so she did the makeup over like twice. And then the day of like we were shooting the fight scene, that makeup artist couldn't make it out because we were having like a hard time locking down the schedule. And he brought in another makeup artist, or I guess it was two of them, but they took a long time to like do the makeup on the girl who was playing the ring girl. And then whenever we got to the boxer and he needed to get the bruises, she used tape, like Scotch tape, to make it look like his eye was up or something.
Okay,
and then just covered it with makeup. And I'm like, there were shots we couldn't use because you could tell it was tape.
It was tape, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, you don't want to put tape on your skin around your eye. Anyways, it's so thin. Yeah.
But that was one of those things where I didn't have any reference to like her background. And like afterwards, it was like she was saying that she was just getting started. So I was like, oh, she didn't know yet. She didn't have the experience.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there are people out there who might have good intentions, but stuff like that, I don't know, that's crazy. One time I was, like, I wasn't actually working on the set. I was, like, friends with everybody. I'd worked with them for years, but my work schedule was crazy, so I couldn't. And so, like, I just went out and visited everybody, and they pulled me aside, and they're like, Michaela, you'll never guess what. I was like, what happened? Like, I figured it was just something silly or some, like, weird little drama thing between the friends or whatever, you know? And I was like, what? And they're like, they fucking spray painted the guy. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you're joking. Like, I thought they were talking about, like, airbrushing with the makeup or whatever. No. She went to Walmart and bought the spray paint with the primer, and they spray painted the guy. And, like, apparently he was, like, an up-and-coming UFC fighter, or, like, trying to be in the UFC or something like that. And so he was freaking out. He's like, all these chemicals are in my body, blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, my God. And they could not get it off. It took, they said it took, I think, 3 or 4 days for it to come off completely. And I'm like, that's not lack of information. And I think, cause I mean, it was Halloween time, so it's like they had access, like, go to Walmart and get, like, the paints, like, you know, one of those emergency situations, go get those little paints. So
get
it's
actual
like,
body paint.
yeah, something made for the skin, like, get lipstick or something. I don't know, like, there's so many things you could use other than, like, spray paint for outside. I don't know.
Yeah, so speaking of stuff like that that's kind of unorthodox, like, obviously that stuff doesn't work. Are there any kind of fun industry secrets you might be willing to share with stuff that's kind of like, you know, that could work, that's not really exactly what you would think? They're like cheap or alternative ways around doing certain things?
That's pretty broad. Like, in what, like, as far as, like, special effects or beauty,
specifically more towards special effects, because I know a lot of people when they start their own movies, like, you know, how I got started, my first short film was a really, really, really shitty zombie movie that was like a minute long that I made way back in early high school. It's awful.
Yeah.
I forgot how the hell we did makeup, but it was terrible. But so like, what kind of tips and tricks would you have for, like, people who want to do it on the cheap, on the low?
Yeah, on the low. A good alternative, I mean, you can always get, like, really cheap latex from just about you can get it at Walmart during Halloween time. You can go to Party City, you know, like, all these different places. That's a good cheap little thing that you can get. Latex and tissue paper. That's, like, a go-to for if you're in a pinch and you don't have anything else and you need to make, like, a cut or a gash or something like that. Or, like, if you're trying to be, like, budget friendly. Let's see, the December right before lockdown, I last minute got called on this little shoot, and they're like, hey, we have, like, a micro budget and we need, like, intestines. And I'm like, elaborate. So they're like, we just need intestines. I'm like, all right, cool. So I just kind of winged it, and I was like, all right, we're gonna make this work. So I just took, like, paper toweling and kind of rolled it up and dipped it in, like, all this latex and just, like, formed it like intestines, did a bunch of layers, and then just painted it with, like, you know, like, the different paints, like oil paints and whatever. So that's another, like, you can use, like I said, tissues, paper towels, different things like that, covered in latex, slap it on there and call it a day, put a little bit of blood and make it happy. But yeah, little things like that. Or like if you have leftover latex, you can ball it up and like make little textures on like in the wounds and different things, creating like the meat look and stuff, you know.
And welcome back. Sorry about that little pause. We had a bit of technical difficulties with our microphones. You might have heard it in our Tim Meadows episode. We finally figured out what mic was the culprit. Thank you, Michaela. You are the savior. You figured out which microphone it was. Now I have no idea what we're talking about, so let's just continue talking about random makeup stuff.
Let's talk about makeup. This is now my podcast.
Absolutely. Hey, feel free. Like I said, I know nothing when it comes to makeup, obviously. But I do wish you were here maybe a little earlier, maybe brought some powder, because I do know that powdering a bald ass head in this sweat will make it a little less shiny. So, you know, for y'all shiny people, that's kind of a thing you can do. Is some powder, just a little bit, will make the shine go down.
Translucent powder. RCMA translucent powder is the best.
There you go. Hey, perfect. Learn something new every day. I'm going to need to buy some of that for myself for the podcast for the future.
Keep some behind the TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here, I got some right here. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my light went out.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah, we had a little light that back there behind the TV, just kind of, illuminating the little anchor, because this podcast is on Anchor FM, or whatever the hell that app is. Thanks, Anchor. I'm not disparaging y'all. Thanks, guys. Y'all are cool. Making us our stuff. Yes.
We just happen to have an Anchor while we're posting on Anchor.
Yeah. But I think you do make it look good with the whole painting in black and everything, George. I think that's fantastic. I should talk into the mic. If I talk like this, it doesn't hurt me very well. Yeah. I should know what I'm doing.
Right now, you're only the second guest to come to the new setup.
Oh, where was it before?
I mean, it was.
It was here, but it was just redecorated.
Redecorated, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We had a friend of ours
I'm
who kind of quit a podcast. He brought in a whole bunch of stuff, the table, the TV, the stuff he had to set up over there.
Nice.
And then we were like, well, this is not using it. Let's just decorate our set. We ended up buying some lights on the Amazon sale and shit. We're like, let's go make it pretty, make it nice, make it beautiful.
I love it. It reminds me, Zach Galifianakis.
Between Two
Ferns. Between Two Ferns. That guy's crazy.
Is he still going with that? Oh my god.
I have no clue. I have only seen a couple.
There's new episodes, but I know he did a movie. There's like
I watched the movie.
What?
I watched the. Oh my god, it's a disaster. You have to watch it. You have to watch it. It's horrible.
Oh my god, that sounds like something I would fucking love. I love
it's
terrible
like,
movies.
It's like kind of like The Office, but like not. But worse.
I know when we were shooting BTS on 3 Aprils of March, we started trying to film something that was like The Office.
Uh-huh.
And like, I guess I was there for one day, and then once I passed it along, I think Milos covered the second day. We kind of lost track of it.
I love it. That's so funny.
I never finished that. I'm sorry, George.
You're a failure. Oh, shit.
We should be back.
Again, second time with technical difficulties. This is a record for the show. Michaela, this is going to be a famous episode just because of you. You're going to be famous because you're going to be like, oh yeah, who's that one guest on a podcast with 2 fatal errors? It's Michaela. Yes.
We need 3. We need to go for 3.
You're right.
If we're breaking records, we need to go big or go home.
You know what? You are absolutely correct. So you said with COVID kind of drawn down your work a little bit and stuff like that. Are you starting to get back into it a little bit?
Yeah. So actually, I had a meeting a couple weeks ago. I have a production that I'll be working in October. And I had a couple of people get a hold of me for a couple of things. So, have 2 potential things in the fall, but, it's slowly but surely coming back. Slowly but surely. A lot slower than I had thought.
Yeah. But I mean, at least it's coming back. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I was looking at IMDb. Like, there's one movie that just released this year. There's another one that's releasing in a lot of countries and stuff like that. That's cool. So at least your name's getting out there with that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't expect. So the Penitent Thief is the one that's been kind of blowing up everywhere. I did not expect that to really be much of anything. They were like, oh yeah, it's a micro budget. Like the budget was fucking I don't know, $500,000 or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's micro budget, cool. Or by the end of it, it ended up being a $1.5 million thing, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. You can fact check me on that. Oh wait, we're not on the Joe Rogan podcast. Just kidding.
Jamie.
Jamie. But yeah, so it ended up being a lot bigger than I had expected. Like, the director or the producer emailed everybody, like, right before it was released. They're like, hey, just so y'all know, we're going to be releasing it in, like, New Zealand and this place and that place and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, holy shit, all right, that's cool. And then they're like, all right, the big release, cool. And I was like, I mean, everything was still kind of shut down. COVID couldn't go to, like, any premieres. They didn't have a premiere because of COVID. So I was just like, oh, whatever, like, that's cool. Like, that's nice to know that this thing is out. And I'm like, oh, you can buy it at Walmart or whatever. That's cool. So I ended up getting it. But I was like, then I started seeing, like, all of these posts, like, oh, yeah, we won this festival. Oh, we're releasing it in this country. I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, that's pretty neat. I'm like, that's a pretty cool thing for me. So
how much of the budget went to that one, the diva actor? That's
oh God, I don't even want to know.
How much went to his back scrubber? That's the question.
I have no idea. I hope they never filled that position for that poor bastard's sake.
I mean, hey, depending on how much you pay me, I might do it.
I mean, if you're gonna pay me like $8 million a day, cool, I'll do it. Anything less than that, no. I don't need to know that man like that. I do not want to see anything beyond what I already saw.
That's
no,
hilarious.
Thank you.
But that's cool, yeah, especially getting your name out there with a bunch of, stuff like that all over the world. Have you, speaking of just all over the world, just a quick random tangent, have you done a lot of traveling?
Have I what?
Done any traveling? Since your movie's going around the world, have you gone around the world?
Not a lot, no. I mean, professionally, I've been to Arkansas, and I've been to, like, a couple of little states, like, just outside of Texas, and then, like, a lot of different places throughout Texas, but not too much traveling, although, like, personally, I definitely have a long bucket list, as we all do. No.
Just make sure to go every country that movie was released in, just so you
yeah, that's actually a great idea. Let me take a note.
New Zealand's wonderful. I wish I need to go to New Zealand. It's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I've heard great things.
My God, my cousin's been there. The guy who lives in Australia. I went to visit him. I should have gone to New Zealand instead of visiting him because Australia was beautiful, but I hear New Zealand is, like, better.
I don't know. I'm hesitant about even thinking about going to Australia. They have things bigger than me that can eat me. So, and they're bugs. They are insects. I do not. No, thank you. I don't want, like, a centipede in my ear. No. No, thank you.
But would you ever? But would you do a horror movie about a centipede eating your ears? That's the question.
They can eat someone else's ears. I will say off camera for that one.
You're right. You said that you're not an actress. I forget. Is that something you'd ever? Oh, actually. So, what other roles would you want to do if you weren't into makeup? What other roles would you want to do on set?
So, for a long time, like, when I was in, like, the film classes and stuff that I was taking, I was like, oh man, it'd be so cool to be, like, a director. Like, that'd be awesome. At this point, I'm past it. Like, that it'd be cool, but that's way too much stress. Like, makeup artist is already enough stress dealing with whatever we have to deal with. And then that's, like, everybody's stress on top of one person. So I wouldn't want to do that anymore. But I think wardrobe would be fun. Maybe second AD was something I wanted to do for a while. I'm like, I'm good at barking orders. I can tell people what to do. I could do that. Those are things that I've wanted to do. I don't know. If it happens, it happens. That's cool. But it's not something I'm necessarily completely striving for. It's like, I just want to get back to doing makeup, honestly. Like, that's my biggest goal at this point in time.
Gotcha. Is the goal for that to stay in Texas or to move out to a couple different states or stuff like that?
That's a good question. So for the longest time, when I was in high school and, like, when I first got started in the industry, I'm like, all right, this is my game plan. Like, by the time I'm, like, 20... And I was, like, 18, so, like, 2 years I wanted to, like, I'm like, by the time I'm 20, I'm going to move to LA, and I'm just going to somehow magically happen to be in the industry there. It's going to be great. Like, so that was my goal. I don't know. I like working locally because working on set locally with all of the people, I know a lot of the people that work on sets. So it's kind of like my extended family in a way. You spend so many hours with these people, you become so close with them. So, I mean, if the opportunity arises, of course, like, I'd be like, hell yeah, like, take me there. But it's like, y'all taking my whole everything, like, all of it. You taking my family, my cats. Can my cats come? But yeah, I don't know. I really like I like it locally. I want to see it grow, honestly. I want to see it kind of boom locally. So that would be cool. That would be ideal for me.
Have you had a chance to do like prosthetics for makeup?
Like building prosthetics?
Yeah, build prosthetics. Or
yeah.
like, yeah?
Yeah. So again, like, I mean, I've done it on a lot of different sets. I've done like shrapnel wounds that I had to build for like little World War II things that I've done. For the Penitent Thief, for sure, was heavily prosthetic infused, I guess would be.
You're alive? You want to... Yeah. Sorry, bro. Do you count that as technical difficulty? Does that count as
that counts as a technical difficulty?
There we go. We hit three. We hit three, boys.
Good job, guys. Good job, boys.
Oh, well. Damn. I feel bad for him. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's been a little coffee today.
COVID.
Damn, speaking
COVID
of...
again.
I know. You guys said you had it twice, right?
Yeah, we got it twice. First time, like I was saying, first time it felt like the flu. Cool, whatever. Like, it wasn't too bad. Felt like shit for a couple days. Maybe like a week. Second time was like getting hit by a train. Oh my God. It's like the first day, I was like, oh, I feel like I just got like a stuffy nose and my throat's a little scratchy. Whatever, no big deal. That night I wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. My brain hurt. It was horrible.
Oh, no.
And then it just like went on from there. It's like week 1, I couldn't sleep enough. Week 2, I could not sleep at all. Like, it was just crazy. So, fun times.
Yeah, I didn't get hit with it at all
didn't
yet.
get it?
Oh, lucky you.
Hopefully it stays that way.
Have
He
you
got
been
it.
vaccinated?
Yeah,
Oh.
I was.
I haven't been, so.
I went ahead and got vaccinated, but I had it, and it lasted almost like 3 weeks. But it didn't hit me too hard. It felt more like just a cold.
Did it affect your breathing at all?
The first 2 days, it had really
Like
bad.
a fat kid sitting on your chest.
Well, I just had like a really bad. My throat was aching, right? Just really bad. I couldn't even swallow.
Oh yeah.
And that only lasted 2 days, so by the third day it was like gone.
Oh, that's nice.
But I spent most of the time like just trying to stay in bed.
yeah. The first week, I think I slept 98% of the first week. Like, if I was awake, like, y'all are lucky.
And I had a little bit of a fever, so the fever, it would just make me tired. So I'd be like falling asleep. I'd watch something and I couldn't even watch it because I'd be like too tired. I'd just like turn it off and fall asleep.
Yeah. The whole time I was sick, I just put on like something I didn't really care to watch. I'm like, something you don't have to pay attention to. Just click that on. It'll be my entertainment until I like knock out.
Did you have any lasting effects? I know his stamina was down for like a while because we used to do this walk around the one of the lakes here, and like so basically it takes like 2 hours, 6 miles to do around, whatever. And after he started recovering, we started going. He's like, "Fuck, I'm dying." I'm like, "Shit."
Yeah, like just walking across my apartment, or like going. I'm on the 3rd floor at my place, so it's like going up and down the stairs. Even just like going downstairs isn't as bad as going upstairs. Yeah. Going downstairs, I was like, oh my God, I think I'm having a heart attack. Call 911. Like, it was not fun.
Did you lose your sense of taste?
Yeah. So I got sick the week of Christmas. An hour and a half before Christmas dinner, I started losing my taste and smell. Like, I was making dinner because I didn't really think. I was like, maybe I just got like a little cold because I was working a lot and the weather was all funky and stuff. It's like, whatever, allergies, cold, something. So I was making Christmas dinner and I'm like, oh, it smells great. And then like I went and like tasted it and I'm like, something's not right. Like, this isn't okay. Like, I know I seasoned this. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I know how I make food and that does not taste like that tastes like water. And so I was like, whatever. So then I like went and drank a Gatorade. I'm like, this is not right. So yeah. So like right before Christmas dinner, it's all gone. Couldn't smell anything, couldn't taste anything. Oh my God, it was horrible.
One of my friends, he I don't know if smart or idiot, whatever you want to call this, but he decided to do an experiment while he lost his sense of taste. He wanted to see what the difference was between water and vodka. He could barely tell.
Really?
He could barely tell. No burning, no nothing, because it's the taste of it that kind of makes it burn. So
Man,
he's like,
I wish I'd have thought of that. That's genius.
He was like, he could barely tell. It was hilarious.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
Kind of want to get it a third time, just so I can. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Knocking on wood. I don't want
manual.
it.
Manual back
Get back in here. Breathe on me. Ew.
So, to get back a little bit about the makeup and stuff, is there anything you're kind of any kind of makeup or project for makeup you haven't done that you kind of really want to work on?
I don't know. I've done like history things.
You want to do a full like monster makeup?
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. So one of my goals, I haven't gotten to this point yet. Like I need to continue educating. That's one thing about makeup. Like it's a forever learning process, as it is in like the film, like the other side of the industry beyond like the makeup part. Like you have to continually educate yourself, because if you're not educating yourself, you become stagnant and you don't know what the hell's going on anymore in the industry. So anyways, to get back, I really want to learn how to do like build like full body pieces, or like I saw this artist that I love. I saw them on their Instagram and they built like this whole breast piece. Like it looked like real. It looked like a giant set of tits. I'm like, that's like you couldn't tell. Like you couldn't tell. I was like, this is amazing. Like this is great. I want to learn how to do this. Or like babies. Like
Call back to something before the podcast.
We will not talk about it. I have been banned from speaking about it. Or like, but yeah,
unless you want to do makeup for
we'll set it on fire. I mumbled it. It didn't count.
Clearly, I think the drink is affecting me enough today.
But yeah, so like building like full heads or like chest pieces or like, I don't know, prosthetics of like people where it looks exactly like them side by side or whatever. That's something I really want to learn how to do. It's very expensive and it's very difficult and whatever. But I mean, it's a goal.
Speaking of like expensive stuff like that, so whenever I'm on a set, I'm on something that I have some control over budget. Like if it's a no budget movie, like the actors, stuff like that, whatever, you know, I mean, yeah, taking up people's time, you know, like I can afford maybe not to pay them, but people who are wasting money on their stuff, for example, makeup, because you have to spend money to be there. Absolutely. I always make sure to pay makeup, always make sure to pay crafty, because they're spending money on the project. It's not just their time.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like if you're spending your time in an industry, you know, that's learning, that's fine. You know, I feel like, you know, because I work a lot of stuff for free. You know, I'm like, yeah, whatever. People can do that. But no, if you have to spend money on it, I feel like you definitely should be compensated, which is why any set I work on, have any control over any budget stuff, makeup artists always get paid. At least to cover their materials. Yeah.
And you also have to keep in mind, like what you pay for your artist is the quality of work that's walking onto set. So if you pay like $50 a day for someone to come and do makeup, expect $50. Expect like crayons to be drawn on a person's face, like, or like something crazy, like spray paint, like, you know.
Yes.
Expect something crazy. You get what you pay for. So,
Absolutely.
I remember going to a workshop over at Frightmare. They had a makeup artist come in, and she was talking about doing like the prop heads. And she was saying she was the one in charge of doing a lot of the props and like makeup for Machete. So she worked with Robert Rodriguez on Machete, which on that one, if you've watched it, you've seen some of the stuff that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
They had like fake bodies falling from the sky, just burnt up.
Yeah, and that stuff takes a long time to make too. Like, it's crazy.
She was saying that it's like different tiers that you would have to pay if you wanted a head to be like blown up to look like your actor. So the more you pay, the more it looks like it.
Yeah.
So to be like photorealistic, you gotta really put out some money.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. Like, not only material wise, but like the man hours that intestine piece I was telling you guys that I had built. So it was like 2 pieces, like one set of intestines that like fell out, and then like intestines that were still attached that were like hanging out of his gut. So yeah, fun stuff. I'll show you all pictures later. So like just doing those 2 pieces on like micro budget, like just using latex and paper towels and whatever like materials I had at hand without having to go and buy more, it took like 18 hours to build it.
Oh my god.
So that's not like full detail. That's not anything crazy. So just imagine like making a photorealistic head of someone, like they got their head chopped off. Cool. Now it looks exactly like them, and we put like 30 hours of work into this guy, you know? Like it takes a long time to get that detail.
Well, knowing that you have experience with working on intestines and stuff, I've been trying to see if I can talk to one of my friends. He made this web series, animated web series a long time ago called Brimstone Terrace about these people. It's basically suicides, people kill themselves who live in hell, and it's just like continuing your life, just like living, but also like with the wounds of your death.
Yeah.
And so the main character has a hole in his head, but his roommate jumped out of a building and impaled himself on a fence, and so his intestines just keep popping through his fucking bandages and shit. So like, if I
imagine living that reality forever and ever.
But it's meant to be like kind of like it's a comedy, romance, stuff like that. It's supposed to be like a regular slice of life thing, but just with this like really weird thing. So if I do ever convince him to make a live action thing, I know who to call for intestines.
Got you. I got you. I got you. Absolutely.
How long have we been going for, George? Ooh, hell yeah, about an hour.
Yeah, about an hour. After every pause.
With the 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
What else you got?
Questions?
Yes.
I was like, I'm looking at.
Like, I don't know.
I've never interviewed a makeup artist before, so this is kind of difficult, trying to find good questions. I mean, she's doing fucking amazing. I feel like this is gonna be very entertaining because I'm drawing in about all the things you're saying. I guess the energy you have is kind of like, pretty good. So the stuff you're talking about.
Energy.
Yes.
I kept it a little bit hidden because I don't think anybody can really take the full extent of my crackhead energy. Gotta keep a little bit tucked away. He can take it.
Yeah.
He can take it.
Strong man.
Was he just? I couldn't see him, but was he just nodding back?
That's amazing. Well, Michaela, do you have anything you want to plug?
Well, actually, before we get to
ahead.
that, we always want to end with tell us one of your favorite experiences in working in the industry.
Ooh, favorite experiences. Yeah. Oh man, there's so many. It's been a long road. Let's see. Well, let's see. I think I'm going to pick this one. So it was right after I had graduated makeup school. So keep in mind, I'd already been in the industry for a while. And I don't know how this person got my contact, but they're like, hey, I'm in the film industry and I need a makeup artist. So it was really cool for me. It was one of my favorite experiences because of the way that things kind of landed, I guess. And I'll explain. But pretty much so I graduated makeup school. 3 days later, I was on set, and I was working for a month straight. So I was like, that's absolutely unheard of. You don't hear about people who graduate school and then just get thrown right back into where they left off. So it might have been a complete shit show. That's actually where I met George on that set. Yeah, that was my introduction. I was like, who is this guy? And he came in last minute because the sound person that we had dropped out last minute for whatever reason. I don't remember. But they dropped out last minute, and he just showed up one day and his little spookster shit, and I'm just he just kind of sat by himself, didn't really talk to anybody. I'm like, this guy, there's something. I don't know. He's crazy, but in the best of ways.
Yes.
So that was my introduction to George, and then everybody else I've met since then through him and other people. But yeah, so that's my favorite experience, just because not only I get to do a lot of special effects, which is what I really enjoy doing, special effects, and then I got to do just be around a whole new crew as I'm punching things, be around a whole new crew, all these people I've never worked with, kind of almost like a fresh start in the industry. It's because I had the people I'd worked with, but I didn't know anybody really before I went to school. So but yeah, it was really cool for me because it's 3 days later, just I don't know, it's just a big thing for me because it's it almost felt like this is what it's meant to be. It wouldn't be working out so smooth and so easily. And not everybody, like I said, not everybody can say that, but it wouldn't be working out the way that it is if it wasn't meant to be, if it wasn't in my cards, So.
Yeah, and I definitely think, with all the experience you have so far, this post-COVID stuff is just going to go easy for you.
I hope so. I'm
But
gonna
yeah,
take
so-
all the good juju on that.
So kind of funny thing that with talking about George and stuff, we broke our last guest's brain a little bit because he met George post the official name change. So because now he's gone by Jorg officially, he actually changed his name legally to Jorg, and so we just mentioned like Jorge Hernandez, and the guy's like, what? Because him and George have been talking a lot, they've been working on a lot of things together, and he's like, what? His name is George? It was hilarious just to see
that's so
it break his
crazy.
brain. It was so funny.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him since like just before COVID. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't know anything about that. Like, that's crazy. I'm still gonna call him George. I don't care.
Yes.
George, if you're watching, you're still George to me.
Yeah.
Still George. It's not changing. I can't change. I can't handle it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he's in a couple group chats with us. Sometimes he goes out with us, but like rarely because he's a very, very busy guy.
Yeah, that dude.
Yeah, so hey, where can people find your stuff? Your reel, your website, or whatever you got? What you got?
So I'm on IMDb. My Instagram, I recently made it private, but I still post like makeup stuff on there. It's Makayla Makayla_Ray RA. I have a website, but it's a work in progress. I like right around COVID, I was like, well, this is a perfect time to revamp everything, so I'm updating that right now. But yeah, Instagram would be the easiest. Email if someone's wanting to book me, because I'm okay with that. But my email is 95mr.anderson14@gmail. But yeah, and then whenever I get that, I can get you all the link to that website.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Michaela, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Record-breaking, 3 different difficulties. Amazing. George, thank you so much for co-hosting. And guys, you can find her in all those links that we just mentioned below her website. Oh, well, her website, once she gets it running, we'll have it up on here. Her Instagram, email, stuff like that. Anyways, thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you for co-hosting. Manuel, thank you for coughing. And Herb, thank you for being security. We appreciate you, buddy.
Protection.
All right, guys, and you will hear us next week with another awesome guest here on the One On Podcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Buzzinga.
AC. Fuck.